by someone with a gun. And so it's been heart-wrenching. We came out here yesterday because we had gotten some word that we thought he had taken a turn for the worse, and unfortunately then today had to come out to cover his death. And so later there will be a procession that will be out here for. We have another crew scheduled or set up at the medical examiner's office in downtown Phoenix. So we're going to make sure that we show everyone at home just that beautiful procession that will be happening later, because as you mentioned, these things are so symbolic, they're so powerful, and we know that there's going to be a lot of law enforcement present to escort him to the medical examiner's office in downtown Phoenix.
Oh, hey, I know a few of you folks were in the waiting room trying to get in to our chat this afternoon, so want to thank you for the patience there. We've had a little bit of trouble behind the scenes, but we're up and running.
We're new at this on the
yes,
weekends. This is
it
our
is.
second weekend show.
Second,
We're
yes.
still
Second
figuring
time's
it
the
out.
charm, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess so.
So, yeah, again, an emotional day out there in Apache Junction. Nicole, the press conference that just happened a little bit ago that you mentioned with the chief, I know he had some really emotional comments there, especially talking about the officers, his fellow officers, bringing him to the medical center to be treated, and the doctors working to keep him alive. Let's listen to that soundbite real quick if we can, Ashlie.
When Officer Facio got to the hospital, his heart had stopped, and the medical staff at Banner Goldfield, thank you, they were able to bring him back, and we were able to have a week to say our goodbyes. His family came in from all over the country, from Mexico, from El Paso, Texas, from all over the country. And it gave them time to say goodbye. His dad and his mom are crushed. His wife is devastated. His kids are lost. But every one of them has wanted me to let everyone know in the community how much they know they are supported and loved.
It's tough. I mean,
losing a fellow officer isn't just losing a coworker. It's like losing a brother.
and you hear about the kids growing up without a father now, and his parents having to come and say goodbye, and what his wife is going to go through. Man.
Yeah, I was raised in the military, and my dad would always get deployed, and you kind of know in the back of your mind there's a chance he might not come back home. And in speaking with families of police officers, it's like that every day. Every day your dad leaves the house, you have no idea if he's going to come back. And I always say, not only are police officers serving, or military or firefighters, but their families serve as well, because of all of the trauma and stress and heartbreak that they go through as well.
Yeah, we got some insight into his family during this press conference today. His daughter actually is set to be married in August. So that just adds another layer of just devastation to this, because, you know, any woman who's been married and has, you know, a great relationship with her father knows how beautiful of a day that can be for the two of you, just him giving you away. And, you know, it seems like they had a beautiful father-daughter relationship. And I'm sure that she's just thinking, you know, not only of losing him right now, but also of what that day's going to be like for her. I know that his son has a child, so he had a grandchild. Just devastating, and the journey that he took to get to this place. He's from Mexico. He worked to get his citizenship. He worked to become a police officer. He graduated from the Phoenix Police Academy in 2020. A little later in life, Chief Woolley shared that he joined, but it was a goal of his, and he made it happen. And it's just such an inspirational story, and it's so tragic that it had to end this way. And it really is an opportunity for all of us, not only to appreciate the sacrifice that our, you know, officers, our first responders are doing on a daily basis, but like you said, Ashlie, also really think about the sacrifice their families are making. And now these two children, their mother, his parents. I mean, people always say the worst thing is burying a child. Now his parents are doing that. It's just really, really hard to swallow. And Chief Cooley doing such an amazing job of being a leader right now, but also sharing his emotion and not being afraid to say, I loved this man. And he was one of my favorites, and I'm going to miss him so much. It's the kind of thing that really impacts you as a reporter, but also, at home, I think a lot of people are going to feel connected to this story, even if they're not, from Apache Junction, even if they're, hours away in another part of the state. It's moments like these where we really see a lot of community come together. I know we're going to see police officers from all over the valley out tonight along this escort route and in downtown Phoenix too. And it's so solemn, but it's also so beautiful to see the dedication and how everyone comes together in these moments.
Well, Nicole, I know you're going to be tracking this one pretty closely. Of course, we have our 6 o'clock newscast coming up, but I saw we just got word a few moments ago that the procession for Officer Facio's remains is going to actually start at 4:15. Our Skyfox chopper will be going up to follow that, and we'll have that live, of course, for people to follow along. But yeah, full report at 6 o'clock, and yeah, a very tough day in Apache Junction.
All right. We're going to take a little break right now. We're going to get back, maybe talk a little bit about the LA protest still going on day 3.
Yeah.
And a little on a lighter note, some sports coming up as well. So stick around for that.
Yeah. Or watch Fox 10 Talks.
All right, welcome back to Fox 10 Talks. I'm Brian with Ashlie and Trenton. We have Robbie Baker coming up in a minute. I want to get to the other breaking news going on in LA, day 3 of the, what do we call them, protest, demonstration, riots, a little bit of all 3.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of, really all 3 of those throughout the night, throughout the day. It's, been an interesting turn of events.
What's striking you guys the most about what you've seen? Just the
fact that we have the military on the ground now.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody's talking about, and just how it kind of was in the city's hands, and it kind of went in the state's hands, and now the federal government's stepping in. You know,
Yeah,
it's
Czar
big tug of war.
Tom Homan is now threatening federal charges for Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom for the way they're handling it. Obviously, both of them are like, we don't need National Guard troops. We can handle this with our own law enforcement. It's funny because now a Kristi Noem tweet is resurfacing that she made last February, where she said if Biden federalizes the National Guard, that would be a direct attack on states' rights. Over the last several years, we've seen Democrats try to take away our freedoms of assembly and speech. So it's funny because they were just complaining about the use of National Guard troops, and now almost immediately Trump sent them in, which a lot of people are saying this is only going to exacerbate the problem.
Yeah.
And
And just real quick for folks watching, that is a live look on the streets of LA right now from our sister station KTTV. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to comment, ask questions, follow along, chat with us. We're here. We'll take it.
And what we said when we came in, the first thing I read about this today was that things were calm in LA.
Yeah.
The National Guard's on the scene, but we've seen it. More people show up throughout the day. You mentioned yesterday things get tricky when the sun goes down, and it just adds a little bit more potential danger to the situation. I think I've heard there's been some vandalism,
Yeah.
a few bottles, maybe rocks thrown. It doesn't
Spitting
seem
on
like
officers.
Yeah.
What's that?
They're spitting on officers,
Let-
which
Let's actually watch real quick. SOT 2, if we could, Ashlie, how things unfolded, the clash between the military and protesters.
See what they're doing? Look what you guys are doing! Remember your oath! Remember your oath! This is fascism! Remember your oath!
No, tear gas is no joke if you get it in your eyes. I've been there, but and the people who are in the middle of that, like, are then you start to wonder who's there to protest, who's there to rabble rouse. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are saying this imagery of people waving Mexican flags and Palestinian flags and cars on fire, perfect propaganda for exactly what Trump is trying to do, which is deport, immigrants. They're saying that these guys are just playing right into the administration's hands. And Trump has come out and said that LA now should prepare for 30 full days of raids.
Wow.
So I don't know if this is just being politicized by both sides, and it's just the tension is just ramping up.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, immediately in this country now, we immediately go to our corners, and if this happens, then we politicize it over here, or vice versa. I saw another lawmaker from California immediately. This is Biden and Harris's. It's their doing, and Trump is stopping it. So that's just so hyper politicized world we live in right now. So,
Well, and the president was on the tarmac today and being asked, do you feel like this is going to spread to other cities? If that happens, will you invoke the Insurrection Act? What's the next move, and kind of what's the threshold? So I thought that was an interesting exchange. Let's listen real quick.
Going to be watching it very closely, and when they spit at people, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
Yeah.
that's why people voted for him, right? I mean, they left the tough guy. They want law and order,
Right.
and they don't want to see spitting or bottles thrown or vandalism and protests
You
get out of
immediately
hand.
think of BLM and what was going on in the Midwest in 2020, and how a lot of people just wanted somebody to step in and put a stop to it. I didn't think we'd be back to these same visuals, especially for ICE raids, but here we are. And it looks like MAGA has their strongman who's definitely intervening. But again, as he ramps up, so does the bad behavior.
And you do think about BLM spreading from Minneapolis from there to there, and then
Yeah.
maybe Phoenix as well.
Yeah.
Like it did back then.
Well, and I mean, you can see real quick a lot of people on the streets right now. That's one of the freeways in LA. Skyfox Chopper was up, but doesn't look like it has any signs of slowing down.
And it started in Manhattan, right? That was the first protest
Right.
against the raids, and then LA. And that's the same thing that happened with the anti-Israel protests as well, where it started in Manhattan, then we saw it in LA, then we saw it happen across the country. So I think the young people right now are very mobilized through social media. They're able to get the word out. They're able to say, hey, let's all meet up. And they have, I don't know, Brian, maybe back me up on this, but this is a new tactic of organizing a protest to shut down a freeway, or organizing a
look at that.
protest to shut down the Brooklyn Bridge,
Yeah.
which does not help your cause, especially when you're in one of those cars and you're late for work because of these kids. It's
Which
Well,
falls
and you mentioned with 2020 and the George Floyd protest. I mean, that almost looks
That
like
was
the
it.
exact same image of
and
what we watched.
we talked earlier, that falls under the actual guidelines of unlawful
assembly.
assembly
Right.
when you're blocking traffic like that, and they can shut them down however they want to at that point.
Wow, look at that overpass.
Yeah.
Holy
And that's
cow.
exactly what Newsom was saying, is Trump's moves are just going to escalate
Well,
things.
And look at that truck just caught in the sea of people too, and it's actually moving.
And this stuff is, that many people, all it takes is one little wrong move, one side or another, and then we have real trouble.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Fox's Greg Gutfeld, he put out a tweet that was just like, these people with all this bad behavior, attacking officers, they've got their nation's flags flying, and then they're still demanding to stay in the country. It's not helping. So what could have been a peaceful protest against these raids, justified and legally protected, has now become unlawful assembly, and now we have chaos on the streets.
All right, we're going to have more on that tonight on our news. It's at 6 tonight, right? 6
Yes,
o'clock
6
news, and then
o'clock.
again
And
at 9.
Of course, if you are watching right now, we will have continuing coverage of the protest. I mean, really, these look like riots now in LA on our YouTube channel. So that will be going live still. So stick around for that.
Should we get Robbie Baker in
Yeah,
here?
let's
Talk a little
bring in Robbie
sports.
Baker
Ashley's
as
going
all
to
this is
skedaddle.
unfolding.
And thanks to Ashley. And Robbie Baker's in with his cool baseball cap, ready to go. What should we talk about, Robbie? A little NBA
Casual
action?
Sunday with the baseball hat today.
Yeah.
Casual Sunday. Game 2 of the finals coming up tonight. Pacers and Thunder. We'll see if Oklahoma City can respond after getting kind of gut punched there in Game 1 on, was it Thursday night, Friday night?
I think they're going to pour it on.
all the days run
I
together.
think they're going to
man.
pour it on tonight.
I
the
think
Thunder.
it's at home for the Thunder. They
Yeah.
joke in a playoff series. The series doesn't start till the road team wins a game. Well, it started quick with the Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton
Yeah.
hitting that buzzer beater in Game 1. But I think Oklahoma City will get them tonight. I think we'll go back to Indiana 1-1. And locally, I think most local basketball fans are kind of pulling for the Thunder a little bit because you got some local connections. Jalen Williams was from Perry High School, was a Puma back in the day, and then one of the stars for the Thunder is Lou Dort, starred for Arizona State before he was on his way to the NBA. So it'll be a good one tonight. I think it's going to be. I think it'll be close. I think until maybe the second half, and then Oklahoma City will start pulling away because. The crazy thing about this Pacers team, we've seen them too, they could be down 15 points with 3 or so minutes left in the game, and then they could still come back and win it. That's what they've done multiple times this postseason.
That's what when they were playing the Knicks, there was one game I turned it on, and they were down by, 12, 14. And
it was
there
like 14 points with like a
14,
minute and 40 seconds
I was
remaining or so. It was the comeback was crazy.
Yeah, I almost turned it off, and then I thank God I didn't because it was a heck of an ending. Remember, was that the game where the ball went way up in the air and fell down?
And then the Halliburton, he hit the
Halliburton.
buzzer beater and then redid the Reggie Miller choke thing in the Garden. So no, it's been incredible to watch both these teams kind of go through the playoffs. And it, as a Suns fan, it kind of makes you a little sad.
A little
You think,
nostalgic.
what,
It seems so long ago.
Well, both of these teams kind of emulate what the Suns were when they made their run to the finals. A lot of kind of homegrown guys, real connected teams that are really connected to their communities that everyone's kind of rallied behind. And then you can go down the real rabbit hole of the Suns could have drafted Tyrese Halliburton. They passed on him in the draft and drafted Jalen Smith. That did not pan out. And some other moves. There was a DeMontis Sabonis for DeAndre Ayton trade that was rumored at one time that the Suns didn't ultimately make, and maybe that could have got them where they wanted to go. There was a point where they could have traded, potentially there was a rumor for Miles Turner, the center for the Pacers. They could have made a swap with Ayton and Miles Turner.
Oh, my
They
God.
didn't do that. So there,
That's a
yeah,
whole team right
you
there.
could go down a real rabbit hole here if you're a
Wow.
Suns
Wow.
fan and be real depressed watching the final.
Long history there of disappointment. It
And
sounds
real
like.
quickly, what about, like, they're playing kind of money ball in Oklahoma City, right, with their draft picks? Real quick, explain how that worked.
Well, Sam Presti has built 2 championship teams now. He did it once with the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden team. And then when they blew that up and all those guys moved on, he just acquired a ton of draft picks and has just slowly, methodically been building this through the draft, a couple of key free agent signings here and there. And the crazy thing now, I don't know the specific number, but they are the best team record-wise in the NBA. And with all of the draft capital they've amassed, they still have one of the best war chests when it comes to the draft moving forward. So, I mean, this thing is incredibly sustainable that they got there. In
And what are the
OKC.
Suns going to do next year?
Well, they got a coach.
They got a new coach.
They got a coach. We're going
Okay.
to meet him on Tuesday. So
Our
that's
fifth
good.
one? Fifth, sixth? I
fourth,
lost track.
Fourth in 4
Okay,
years.
fourth.
Yeah.
Okay.
7th for Devin Booker in his 11 years in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean,
Think about that for a second.
blink your eyes, and he's no
Holy
spring
cow.
chicken anymore. We got to get things going here.
Yeah, he's going to be entering year 11 or 12 now for
Wow.
Devin Booker. Yeah.
Wow.
There was
Amazing.
a report out today from Mark Stein that the Suns are expected to offer him an extension to his contract that already has some years on it, but I guess he's eligible for like a 2-year, $150 million extension to what he already has. That Mark Stein was reporting today. The Suns are expected to kind of exercise that option to show some more loyalty to
And
Devin Booker. So that
Durant-
would be good.
Durant is still with us.
He's
as
still
of
here
now.
now. He's still
Okay.
here now.
As
the,
of this day.
The anticipation is that he will be traded this offseason, and if they're going to do it, probably before the draft because they're going to want a draft pick
Right,
back in
right.
this year's draft this summer.
Good stuff.
Amazing times.
The fun
Hey.
never ends.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robbie.
Well, hey, thanks for watching the second episode of Fox 10 Talks Weekend Edition. Watch at 6. We'll be back on the air, right?
Have a great weekend.